Alright, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of float fishing at low levels. We are actually back at the cottage pond here. And let's set our depth at 1 meter. I'm just kind of out of curiosity, wondering how good the fishing might be here. Right now. I will start with bread on the other one. Let's just see how the bites go here. Maybe try a couple spots at the cottage pond. Like I said in the last episode, the downside is we don't have a cafe or orders or all that, but you can still, get some leveling experience and then sell the fish at Mosquito if you can catch some markers. And I don't really know what it'll be like, so let's find out. So far it seems slow. Might try a couple spots, but we'll head back to Mosquito pretty quickly if it's not good. Alright, pretty nice bite there. Off the bread. I like where there are these reeds over here. This looks promising to me. It may just be that the pond is a little slow right now. You know, if you look at the records, sometimes people do occasionally catch really large fish here. I mean, someone has caught I think a 7-kilo common carp here. So there are some fish in the water. But the time of day we have right now, and it just may be that what are we at? Okay, let's go down to 80 maybe for this spot. You know, none of my previous leveling series have I ever come back to the pond and tried this early on. And even on my main account, I think the only time I've really come here is sometimes it's a nice place to try to catch frogs to use for bait. But besides that, I have not spent a lot of time fishing here. So I don't really know what to expect. At least this location's getting bites immediately. We've yet to land a fish, though. Oh, goodness. Of course, the one we picked up is the one that didn't go down, really. Well, this one's going with faster speed, so I'm going to pull this one first. Okay. Is that a gibble on both? Interesting. So we are up to 7.5% on float fishing. You'd have to be pretty committed. If you ask me, you'd have to be pretty committed to doing float fishing to put points in float fishing at an early level. What I tend to do early is put points in feeder fishing, because I know that primarily in the long run, that's what I'm going to do the most of. But we don't have a rod yet, so a feeder set up, so there's really no points in us putting points there yet. Let's go back to that spot. Let's see how good that spot seems from an earlier time and then into the night. Of all the spots we tried last time, the one that I felt the best about from the brief amount of time we were there was the one in the back. There actually are other spots back here too, but let's go back to this one. We'll start off with both bread and worms and then go from there. But like I said, there's several spots back here that are worth trying. Many of these are often good little locations. This one, the one we're going to try is here. But even back around here where there's this stuff in the water, this can be good. Here, this is often a nice little spot. And maybe we'll try that in a little bit, but I do want to start in this place here because I had mentioned that this might be the place that I would choose to, I think last time we settled on 80 centimeters as being like a reasonable depth here. So let's just see how this spot feels for a little bit longer time this go round. I think I'm going to start doing that, and that's a sleeper, isn't it? Even though a lot of times it seems like you pull them out of the mouth, if it's going sideways, I'm going to just start pulling it. Because there are some times that the sideways pull means there's a fish on. So like that, I'm going to go ahead and just start pulling them. We'll catch a few, we'll miss a few, that's okay. At least we won't be sitting here as long, wondering. So I need to keep track. We've got worms and bread. You do want to start leveling up your bait crafting as soon as possible. For a while that just means making lots of bread. But eventually that will lead to other baits you can craft, and many of them will be just staples of what you use in different spots to target fish. Alright, it's going sideways. Let's pull it. That's a nice sleeper, I think. Well, we are now embarrassingly level 5 with still no feeder fishing rig. But if we catch a few more good fish here, we might be able to afford our first one. What are we at? 30 silver now? So that start and stop's not really what I'm talking about, but when it's steady moving sideways is when I want to start pulling it. It's not going to always work out, but it sometimes will. And we'll be fishing with 2 floats for a long time, because even after we get our first feeder, we can still have a 3rd rod out. But the feeder will just help us get to our 2nd feeder a little more quickly. Catch a little bit of everything down here in with worms. Oof. There's a nice crucian. We don't have a net yet, so we start to drag it around, and I don't know where it is, to be honest with you. Goodness. Steady running away from us. Let's pull it. This is a nice gibble. This is why I like this spot. Even at a low level, we are catching some nice fish. How many worms do we have? 58. I did get those free worms at the cottage, by the way. Remember, once every 24 hours in game, you can do that. Just briefly, let's try maggots. I think bread's working fine here, and it's nice to use bread. It's basically a free bait because you can craft it, but maggots getting a quick nibble as well. The plus side of maggots is they are so cheap that if that's what's working, it's worth using it. You can get more maggots really easily, affordably. Look at how it's standing that float up. Ugh. It's so annoying, isn't it? I think if we had nicer hooks, this might happen a little less, but it still happens even with nice hooks. This thing has just been slowly taking my my bait and my float and taking it to another part of the lake. So let's just reset it. Look at that, so quick. They love the worms down here. Is that a little eyed? It is. We haven't caught a single fish on maggots. Both bites, when I've pulled it, it's pulled right out of the fish's mouth. We'll have to look when we go to the store, but I think the hook we have on our blue line might even be a cheaper, lower quality hook than what came in that the kit we bought with the red line, with the red rod, telescope rod. We're not actually catching fish, we're just playing with our bobbers. That's 3 in a row on the maggots. Usually if something is nibbling at mosquito that long and is that much of a struggle to get out, in my experience it's usually one of the either like crucian or gibel carps. They just nibble, 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 it seems like. See how it pulled it aggressively, but even with that, it stopped short. Like if I had looked at it there, I would have known just to not even worry about pulling it out of the water, because it's like a fake bite. I think in the tutorial it talks about 2 stages of the bite, and they're kind of trying to prepare you for the fact that you're going to see so much false activity on it. Thankfully, not all fish species in the game seem to do this. So when you're targeting some species, you won't be tortured quite as much as you are here. The unfortunate thing about those perch is they're not markers. They're not worth anything. And there's not a perch order right now for tiny perch, so the only thing we're getting off of those is the skill up points. But what we need is silver. Alright, might be our first fish on maggots. Of course not. I don't know. I don't know that I can keep being patient. Let's just put bread on, see if we actually get a real bite. I'm not going to let you take my bait away. I'm going to pull you and see if you're actually a fish. So that is a nice sleeper. What we want to do is just catch a lot of nice sleepers, crucian, gibbles, go by that feeder, and then we can start expanding from there. The thing to decide is at what point do we want to get a little nicer line and a little nicer hooks, even for these float setups, because that will help a little bit. What point can you use a leader? At 40%, okay. But I don't think it's that long on bottom fishing. You might be able to use a leader from the start. Yep. So that's what's cool on bottom fishing. Feeder fishing, you can use a leader from the start, which really does help with catching some fish to have that leader on there. Another perch. Perch will die down here as it gets later, though. I'm going to try to be patient and sit here for part of the night before going to the store, because even though I'd like to think we have enough, I'm sure we don't have enough yet for the first feeder setup. That may be the hardest to tell, is when those bites, when they take it down, it's hard to distinguish between the first phase and the second phase of the bite when it just goes straight down. Like, I would say that's a fish on, but you just never know. There's a crucian. Not a marker, but it is a crucian. If we don't get a nibble soon, I'll throw that farther, because usually worms, we've been getting nibbles immediately, but that's pretty close to the shore. Let's reposition that. It's kind of frustrating that we can't. That went out farther. That was good. I think I'm actually messing myself up. I'm like aiming high or something. I don't know. Get those lines out there a little bit. Might be an argument for the longer telescopic rods. You might be able to cast them out a little easier farther. But all of them are pretty annoying. So you can get the nicer equipment. That was a nice bite too. I really thought we'd get that one. Let's turn our light on here. F for our flashlight. Ugh. False alarm. I am glad we got the second float rod, though. I just don't think I could do it with the bamboo stick. If you can do that for a while, more power to you. It's one of those things that kind of triggers me, so having this second halfway decent float rod is nice. Now what you could do is save a little bit of silver and get a second starter one like the blue one we started with. But I like to use, it's just fun using different equipment, I think. So I'm good with it. Oh, is it still on there? It is. That fish took off. Let's see what this is. Looks like a gibble. So now we've transitioned from day to night, still catching fish in this spot. This is a good spot. It's a good spot to set up your feeder as well. Is that another perch? Those should be going away soon. Wow. It was almost old Berg by the time I picked up the pole. We are just missing so many bites. It's a marker gibble. I like it. And a marker crucian to go with it. That is a fatty. 1.3 kilos. That's going to be worth some decent coin there. This is a trophy spot. I wouldn't expect us to necessarily hit one on these baits at this level, but you never know. if we could even get it in on these float rods. Probably could, especially on the red one. It's a little stronger. That gave us so much experience. That was fun. That's when it starts getting really fun, is when you start landing some of those big boys. That's almost twice as big as anything we had caught previously. If you are new to the game, or fairly new to the game, and you find these videos, let me know, especially if you want to join the in-game chat. I'd love to know if it's helpful or if you have specific questions. I think I said this in the last video, but last time I did a leveling series, it was really only about 4 months ago, and I did a lot more explaining of the basics of the game and all that. I'm trying to show things in this video more than just like explaining everything again. But if you do have specific questions, look at this crucian, by the way. If you do have specific questions, please let me know. That is another nice fish. I think nighttime in this spot is the best. This is where even on my main account, I've come back and caught trophy crucian and gibbles on night crawlers. But at this level, we won't be able to get them. It's another decent fish. I don't want to leave until the size of the fish, until it's like daytime and it's not this good. This is just too good to pass up. But it's when you can find a spot like this that the levels will just fly by, and you'll also start making some decent money. I don't remember how much these will be worth, but it'll be nice, especially compared to those smaller versions. Because it's so close to the time that I recorded the first episode of this series, we're not going to have fresh cafe orders. So we're not going to be able to depend on cafe orders for silver, but I do recommend that you focus on the cafe orders and try to get good at targeting the fish that the cafe orders are asking for. And I'll try to help with some of that as we're float and feeder fishing around Mosquito. I think the bites have slowed down at night, but they've been bigger fish and we've been able to land them better. Both worm and bread have been good. We've caught the big gibbles on worm, the big crucian came in on bread. That's disappointing. I love how they just, it's like the fish has got a purpose. I'm going to take this bait over here. Now it seems like the worm has really slowed down, doesn't it? Maybe I should recast that or something. It is possible that this late at night bread is just better. That's another nice gibble. Quality of these fish right now is astounding. Well, if you even have the thought that bread might be better. Am I out of worms? No, that's just what we had on. Okay. If you even have the thought that bread might be better, it's probably a good idea to use bread. Let's see what happens here. Okay, let's look about hook size as well. 14, 16. We do have slightly bigger line on the red one. Sometimes the line size can matter on attracting fish bites. Oh, please stay on. Shoot. I figured it would pop back up, but... Alright, the night is almost over. We are going to go check our silver amount at the end of this night of fishing. It's a competition between the floats. Who can go under first? Dang it. I need to just calm down and even when I pick up the pole, not pull it yet, even though it's under, because it could be one of those fake ones where it pops back up. And maybe that's where if you are holding one of the poles, you have a little more... If you can be patient, you have a little more control because you don't lose visual contact with it. I think it was still under. My old man eyes couldn't tell for sure, but I think it was still under. Okay. Do we put it out there one more time? It's daytime again, basically. It's post 4 a.m. Things will start to change. It's still a great spot during the day, but I feel like those big chunky ones are more likely to come out at night. Although, I think we used to catch trophies here with high regularity all the way up until late morning. And then during the like noon and later, it felt like it was a lot more rare until night again. It seems like that was my experience at least. So we'll give it another couple minutes here and see if we get another chunky one. Thanks for the follow, Patrick. All right, let's go see where we're at. Wrangler's got a big carp on it, Bear. Why are we always one fish short on those orders? I don't know. All right, let's see. Everything is 23, so 3.89 for these chunky ones. It's pretty good for our level. Let's definitely sell down to here. That's 21 silver. Very little silver for the rest of these. Let's just sell them all. Alright, what does that put us at? 54? Well... okay, we know we want a feeder rod. They're all load capacity 4.6. The only difference is the taller one might help you get in a fish a little bit, but it's not going to be much of a difference. I think I'm going to get the smallest one, save that silver. Since this feeder rod is not going to last us that long. And then we want the Spark 3000, so we have a little bit more spool. Max drag of 3 kilo. Basically this line. It's not ideal, but we don't want to go down to 2.3. Look at how much stuff is sold out. This is crazy. That's actually scary. We're going to have to go to... yeah, so this hook is... it's 1.5 star versus these 1 star. So it's worth it. These are 2 star. And then we get to 3.5 star. I always felt like these were such a good value for the silver. Because you jumped up to a quality of 3.5. I think we might save up and get some of this quality soon. Alright, we need this that we can't quite afford yet for the feeder line. And we need this. We'll do 30 gram for this little fella. Alright, so we're getting there. Let's try to get a little bit more silver here. So that the next episode can be all about fishing with a feeder rod. think we can go to one meter here, can't we? So Wrangler got another trophy mirror at Bear in that spot that I made the video about earlier. It's a very good spot right now. And let's see how bread looks. We might switch to both worm. We just need to grind a little bit more silver and we'll be good to go. I don't really want to go all the way back down to that spot, the other spot. Let's try a couple new things here. Is this really back what we're up to is just missing bites? I think I just pulled the wrong one. And it's a really good bite. Look how long it stayed under there. There we go. It's a sleeper. Ooh, it's a nice sleeper. We should just switch to worms on both. I think the worm is still on the other side of the log. Hold on. I don't think that's gonna work. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Almost snapped it. Dang. Careful there. We can't afford mistakes right now. Starting to wonder if just like right here in front of us is better. Oh, now we're getting a bite out here too. Okay. That must be a good bite because that has been underwater forever. Of course, we ripped it right out of the fish's mouth. Uh-oh. Houston? Oh, I think it's still fishing. I don't see the float anymore. Hey, we did it. It's Chinese sleeper. This second rod's killing it. That's not a sleeper. That's not a sleeper either. There she is, the common roach. It's the angle I'm throwing it from on that first rod. It's such a bad angle. It's like we're higher than the spot is. Look at that crucian. That was a nice crucian. Sacolumbo just casually catches a 2-kilo crucian carp. Very nice. I don't think we're going to get both of these fish. That's a nice sleeper. I could be wrong. There's a chance. So we're still missing the bells. For the feeder. And a hook. Would be nice to be able to start it off on one of those decent 3.5 rating hooks. I'm not sure what size I would get though. Maybe 12. It's really a little big for how small that feeder's gonna be. But I kind of like living on the edge. Something like 14 might be more reasonable though. A little more versatile. I mean, a lot of what we'll be doing on it early is like rough and white bream, which means we should get more like 16 or 18. 16 would probably be, could still catch the small fish, but have a chance at the crucian gibble roaches. Maybe 16's the sweet spot for now. We'll eventually have hook choices, but for now we gotta have to prioritize a little bit. I think both went under at the same time again, and that one is taking off. I want to know what that is. I'm telling you, just trying to make it to another county. Level 7 on a roach. Well, that makes sense. This spot will slow down a little bit after noon, I bet, as many spots do. It can be a little slow in that middle part of the day. It's really nice having 2 different types of floats on. You start to remember which one goes with which number. If you don't know, if you hold U down like I did earlier in the videos, you can assign different rod and rigs to different numbers, so you can just sort of easily switch between the two instead of having to look at them and hit E to pick it up. It's definitely the way to go. So our number 1 rod is this one right now. So if I just hit the number 1, it picks that one up. It's a perch. Wait. Got my numbers mixed up. 151 on a sleeper. I will take it. So we're getting into a good rhythm here in this spot. I'm not missing as many fish. That was a weird bite, by the way. We're not having to wait for those crucian gibble bites that take forever. That's one thing that a feeder solves. You just sit it down, forget about it, and it'll let you know when a fish is hooked on. You don't have to deal with this float stuff. Well, you will be dealing with the float stuff, but not on the feeder rod, just on your float rods. That's not a marker. So we're up to 14 fish again. It's pretty good. It's been a quick little grind. The first video is processed. We've almost gone an hour again on this video, so we do need to wrap this up. Hopefully we'll have made enough silver to... I really want the focus of the beginning of the next episode to be how to set up a feeder rod. Just to make sure people understand the basics. And really, some of that will be applicable to all rigs you're setting up, but we'll be looking at our first feeder rod, hopefully. Boo. Boo. Mostly sleepers, huh? No cafe orders unless a new order has just posted. If we had kept the fish from before. Oh well. Man, that's frustrating. We still have time. Crucians aren't really biting there good, though. $17 silver. Man, that's more than I thought it would be. We're not really catching roach or crucians very regularly there. I guess we call it 3 roach. Let's give it a couple more minutes, just see what's coming. This was pretty painless as float fishing goes. I feel like I'm leaving a lot of silver on the table not to take those 2 orders, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. We'll have fresh orders next time. 17 silver is not bad. That should allow us to do the things we wanted to do, so. That's a perch. Catching way too many perch here. During the day, I think. That's not what we want. Let's see what our float fishing's at. I didn't really notice. What is going on? Come here. Come here, you perch. Oh, it's a sleeper. Oh, it's a good sleeper. All right, float fishing is at 14%. We are moving right along. I like it. Another sleeper. Another sleeper. We're going to miss that bite. It's probably a perch anyway. Let's just pretend. I love it when they take off. I don't love it when they're perched, though. Yeah, there are many spots we could have easily finished that crucian and roach spot. This isn't one of them. Well, we at least added some more nice sleepers. $14.6. This is precision float fishing, just one rod. This is what we're working towards. We have 2 feeders up and running. I feel like a lot of times I catch commons, roaches and crucians and stuff over here, especially to the left of the dock. But I might be thinking about feeders as much as anything. I've fished off this dock a lot, especially with feeders though. Perch. I think we'll probably miss less fish. Precision, like only fishing with one here, but if you don't have an active bite rate place, it's also can be pretty boring. That's not a real bite. Don't be fooled. That's the bite. That's a roach. Did that count? Are we one roach short? Yeah. That's a perch. Nope, that was a roach. Oh my goodness. All right. So, crap. It's got to be 174 grams. I'm guessing that last one was under. Yep. Okay. We'll give it one more chance. That's a real fish there. It's a big sleeper. Maximum number of fish caught in one day. I like it. Can't see the float. Okay. Come on, roach. I know you're there. I mean, look, all we've done is a little float fishing, and we're already level 7 and a quarter away through level 7. It's really not that bad. If you just find some decent spots, move the depth around. And you can just fish with one float. We could have already had probably 2 feeders set up by now if we hadn't have bought this, but I like this telescopic rod. Feels nicer, looks nicer. I'm getting impatient. Gotta wrap this up. I gotta go to bed. See, when the bite takes this long, it's not worth just fishing with one. But if you find a spot where they're hitting pretty quick, it's probably more efficient to fish with one because you're going to miss less. It just depends on how long it's taking. I can't hardly see the float. It's like everything's blending together with my eyes. This might be the reason why we shouldn't have gotten this color float. It actually looks like a piece of grass, doesn't it? The purple would have stood out more. Go with the purple. Is that all you got? Should I consider that you're on now? With that weak little bite? This float hardly weighs anything. Just about weighs 2 grams. Well, I can't wait anymore. Hey, it's on there. That is a big old honkin' Chinese sleeper. Okay. It is worth getting those cafe orders done, but I can't stay around anymore. So, hey, there's some nice fish. Okay, so the only other thing we know we need is the bite alarm. Do they have the size 18? They do. Oh, shoot. Good call, game. You have to be level 8. So let's go with... Let's go with a 12 in this. And we'll get 18 when we hit 8 on the nicer ones. Okay. We're off to a good start. We've shown some good example of float fishing. And next time we should be able to get into a little feeder fishing. Thank you for watching.